Welcome to another show. Today, we look at 10 movies that did not understand their audience.
Marilyn Monroe. I can't face doing another scene with Marilyn Monroe.
Andrew Dominik's Blonde has made headlines for its polarizing reviews, many livid about how the biopic exploits Marilyn Monroe's life story. This suggests that the movie has grossly miscalculated what audiences want from this kind of film, and sadly, it wouldn't be the first hotly anticipated movie to do so. Following the mixed critical reception of Blonde, many movie fans on Reddit have begun to discuss which other movies completely misunderstood their target audiences. Whether that's because they're too immature or too complicated, there are a lot of reasons why a film might not resonate with its intended audience.
Thousands of generations, the gunslingers were knights, sworn to protect us from the coming of the dark.
Number 10 film on the list is The Dark Tower.
These visions, as you call them.
What do you see?
I see a tower, the man in black, and the gunslinger.
Stephen King's The Dark Tower is one of the author's most popular and prolific books to date, so there was a lot of pressure riding on the cinematic adaptation to live up to the expectations of its fans. Unfortunately, the film adopted a completely different tone from the book and changed much of the storyline. One fan argues they butchered a fantastic book. I genuinely don't know what they were trying to appeal to. Adapting the works of Stephen King to the big screen is never easy, but The Dark Tower is undeniably one of the least accurate translations to date.
I should have died years ago. Why am I still here if not to fix this?
Number 9, it's Morbius.
I've known you since you were a child. You have a gift. You always have.
Following its release earlier this year, Morbius became the victim of several meme reactions. It quickly became one of the most widely discussed films of that period. Unfortunately, studio executives misinterpreted this online chatter as genuine fandom, releasing the film in theaters. One fan suggests a convincing reason for Morbius' commercial failure. Sony underestimates how important Spider-Man is. The audience for characters like Morbius is Spider-Man fans. Perhaps if Sony had been more precise with their marketing strategy, character inclusions, Morbius could have succeeded more significantly. Number 8 film is Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice. In its infancy, the DC Extended Universe, DCEU, was hyped up as the Marvel Cinematic Universe's sure foil. But Zack Snyder took this pitch too far, starting with Man of Steel and culminating with the polarizing Batman vs. Superman. Snyder demolished the superhero myth by depicting Superman as a feared, godlike alien that a murderous Batman had to kill. Batman vs. Superman had a lot of problems, the biggest being its deconstruction of a superhero universe that barely even started. Worse was its choice to skew towards the dark and edgy crowd, meaning that Superman and Batman's first movie together only catered to a vocal minority. Meanwhile, most of the legendary superheroes fans were left out of the loop.
The man was Le Chiffre, private banker to the world's terrorists, which would explain how he could set up a high-stakes poker game at Casino Royale in Montenegro.
Now we're at number 7, Casino Royale.
I hope our little game isn't causing you to perspire.
It doesn't bother you killing those people.
Well, I wouldn't be very good at my job if it did.
Taking its cues from Batman Begins, the James Bond franchise formally reintroduced itself into the new millennium, trading its signature style and flair for dead serious deconstructions and realism. Casino Royale was a significant success and box office winner, but it was a Bond movie made for people who disliked Bond. Casino Royale brought Bond back by correcting everything about him, whether it was rightfully reworking his misogynistic tendencies or wrongfully exercising his gadgets and supervillains. While this reboot satisfied critics and Bond's naysayers, nostalgic fans had to wait until Skyfall for a semblance of the old adventurous 007.
You will experience fear. Fear in the face of certain death.
At number 6 is Star Trek from 2009.
Your father was captain of a starship for 12 minutes.
He saved 800 lives, including yours.
While it has its fair share of action, Star Trek, especially the original series, prioritized diplomacy, philosophy, and the sciences, in its methodical adventures across the final frontier. J.J. Abrams flipped this formula, not because he had a new kinetic vision for the USS Enterprise's crew, but because he was practicing for Star Wars. Abrams never hid his preference for Star Wars, and he used its pulpy language and action-packed style to inform his Star Trek reboot. This helped Abrams land the director's seat for 2 of the 3 Star Wars sequels, but his Kelvin timeline left Trek fans with a surface-level facsimile of their favorite procedural show.
I'm really proud of you for going on this trip.
You're gonna have so much fun. And remember, if something chases you, run.
The number 5 film is Jurassic World.
We have our first genetically modified hybrid.
You just went and made a new dinosaur?
Although most audiences will agree that Spielberg's original Jurassic Park is an excellent film with countless strengths, there's something about the recent sequels that many fans find awkward and forced. The original is a tight-knit family thriller about one containing disaster, while the sequels attempt to make everything more complicated. They probably could have made a standalone movie about once a decade or so and made my bank every time, admits one user. This uncomfortable release strategy has burned away any possibility of Jurassic World leaving any cultural impact, especially as the latest sequel was barely about dinosaurs at the forefront of the story.
Don't talk about me, not to Klaus, not to anybody.
Yeah, no, of course.
Now we're up to number 4, The Disaster Artist.
You have a malevolent presence. You are a perfect villain. I could see you as Dracula, Frankenstein.
I'm not Frankenstein.
I'm hero.
The Room is one of the most legendary bad movies ever. Chaotic production, plus eccentric star director, writer, producer Tommy Wiseau bolstered its legacy. Wiseau's poorly made ego project became one of the most well-known lightning rods of irony ever. According to The Disaster Artist, it was a cinematic masterpiece. Besides wrongly reaffirming The Room as an underappreciated classic, The Disaster Artist romanticized Wiseau. According to those who worked on The Room, Wiseau was an arrogant and challenging amateur, not the scrappy underdog seen in the movie. His biopic, meanwhile, glossed over his and The Room's flaws to give ironic fans a revisionist account. We're up to number 3, Cats.
Are you going to try for a different life?
A new day has...
Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats is one of the most beloved and popular musicals ever performed on Broadway, but not for the reasons one would expect. Cats is a Broadway equivalent of a fun midnight movie. It's a celebration of artifice and theatricality that invites knowing audiences to get in on the joke that was its very existence. Tom Hooper's Cats, though, is a self-serious adaptation that was seemingly made only to get nods from awards bodies. Rather than embrace the original's absurdity, the movie pretentiously remade the Jellicat Cats saga into prestige cinema. This backfired as Cats became a box office bomb, laughingstock, and exercise in hubris all at once. Now we're up to number 2, Batman and Robin. Plenty of comic book fans will agree that Batman and Robin is potentially the worst Batman movie ever made. Not only because of its technical incompetence, but also because of its complete inability to understand Bruce Wayne's character. One fan suggests that the movie was made thinking that the success of Batman Forever justified a more campy, light-hearted approach to the character. This is entirely unlike the broody character from the comics, which is why so many Batman fans hated the movie.
We'll find them.
We're all here because of a map you 2 kids found in a cave.
Not a map, an invitation.
And the number 1 film on our list is Prometheus.
These are ancient civilizations that were separated by centuries, and yet this same pictogram was discovered in every one of them.
The Alien franchise has seen several disappointing sequels, but Prometheus is probably the boldest and most unpredictable. While some still enjoyed the movie, it's no denying that it's completely different from the rest of the franchise. Some will argue that Prometheus isn't as bad as most fans think, but for those, as Reddit users who don't fear, the film was so disappointing. Perhaps the film will develop a more substantial reputation once the initial disappointment wears off, but it's one of the weakest entries in the Alien franchise. Movies are made with a specific demographic in mind, even if they want to attract the widest number of viewers possible. Ideally, this will give the film a safety net if it falls short of connecting with the mainstream crowd. However, there are times when the filmmakers miscalculated who their target audience was and what they wanted, leading to creative choices that polarized viewers instead of converting them into fans. And that was our show for today. What did you think? Do you agree with our list? Do you like any of these movies? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And as always, I'd be honored if you subscribe to my channel, hit the bell to stay informed, and check out my Carl Vincent Vampire Hunter franchise also in the comments. Until next time, this is Kevin Givens saying, live long and prosper, may the force be with you, and keep reaching for the stars.